Hi there and welcome. My name is Michael Kentenich and I'm a Microsoft Technical Trainer. In this video, I will help you unleash the power of speed and scalability with Azure Content Delivery Network or CDN, your key to a truly global reach. In today's digital world, speed and accessibility are everything. Whether you are a developer, a business owner, or an IT professional, you want your web applications and content to reach your users quickly, no matter where they are in the world. Imagine you're a software company based in Germany, and you have just launched a new web application. Your user base is growing rapidly, not just in Europe, but in Asia and Americas as well. Users love your application, but those far away from your service are experiencing slow load times and occasional timeouts. This is affecting their experience and, ultimately, their engagement with your application. With Azure CDN, you can cache your application's static content on edge servers closer to your users. When a user in Tokyo accesses your application, they are served content from a local edge server in Japan, not from your primary server back in Germany. The result? Your application loads faster for the user in Tokyo, providing them with a smoother experience. In this video, I will explain how the Azure Content Delivery Network works and how it can improve the user experience. I will show you how to control caching behavior and purge content. We will also have a look at perform actions on an Azure CDN by using the Azure CDN library for .NET. A Content Delivery Network, CDN, is a distributed network of servers that can efficiently deliver web content to users. And these servers, aka edge servers, in point of presence locations, POP locations, are managed by the provider. All you need to do is to say, I want this. No deployments, no copying of data, just set up the CDN configuration profile, point your app to the CDN endpoint, and voila! Your app is now globally reachable with local speed. Azure CDN is a powerful service that can significantly improve your user's experience by reducing load times, saving bandwidth, and increasing responsiveness. Azure Content Delivery Network allows users to access high bandwidth content faster by storing it at physical nodes that are located in different parts of the world. By using these CDN POPs, Azure CDN can also speed up dynamic content, which is not cacheable, by applying different network improvements. Unlike traditional caching, this dynamic site acceleration or DSA feature optimizes the entire data path from origin to delivery. It involves route optimizations to fine-tune network path and TCP optimizations, like eliminating TCP slow start. The benefits should be obvious when you think back to our story. Enhanced performance and user experience for the end users. Scaling to deal with sudden spikes in demand. And spreading of user requests and delivery of content directly from edge servers to reduce the traffic to the origin server. This diagram shows how Azure Content Delivery Network works. Alice, who else, requests a file by using a URL with a special domain name, such as endpoint name azureedge.net. If no edge servers in the POP have the file in their cache, the POP requests the file from the origin server. The origin server returns the file to an edge server in the POP. An edge server in the POP caches the file and returns the file to the original requester, Alice. Additional users can then request the same file by using the same URL that Alice used. And we all know who the next user will be after Alice, right? Bob. If the time to live for the file hasn't expired, the POP edge server returns the file directly from the cache. Azure CDN is a global service, and as such, you don't deploy any resources to regions. You create a CDN profile, which is an Azure resource on its own, but it's just configuration metadata that needs to be stored somewhere. And in each profile, you create CDN endpoints with specific content delivery behaviors. Check out the website aka.ms/Azure limits to verify how many profiles you can create per subscription and how many endpoints you can create in one profile. As you can see on this slide, Azure Content Delivery Network includes 3 different products. Microsoft offers you the Azure CDN Standard option, and Azure, formerly Verizon, offers you Azure CDN Standard or Premium. Next up, I will explain cache control for CDN profiles and endpoints with a whiteboard. After that whiteboard, we will see a demo on how to create a CDN profile and use these endpoints. When you set up a CDN profile, every CDN comes with predefined so-called edge nodes or edge locations, which make the data that is cached available locally to the users. So the idea is to have anything that is, let's say, coming from a storage account to be made available in these edge nodes so the user can access this more or less direct. So you actually make this happen, your CDN needs to be configured with endpoints. And these endpoints could be app services with the files that they come with, or a storage account where you store images, other binaries, or other static files. These endpoints are called the origin. So this is where the files originated from. The whole idea is to help optimize the load times, the bandwidth, so that users will not wait longer than necessary to get any of these files loaded into their browser or client. And the whole idea is to help optimize the bandwidth or the time that it takes for the users to access the data, load these images and other binaries into this, by defining a time to live, a TTL, because the time to live determines when a file is going to be loaded into the cache or refreshed into cache and made available to the users. As long as the time to live is active, the data will be provided to the user out of the edge node locations. We define per endpoint a time to live. So we will set up a set of caching rules. These caching rules can be done for each of your endpoints, and we have 2 types, a global set of rules and a custom set of rules. You can set one global caching rule for each of your endpoints in the profile, and that affects all requests to the endpoint. The global caching rule overrides any HTTP cache directive headers if they're set. What that means is if someone is accessing a file, they can already in their HTTP request set certain headers and say, yeah, let's cache this in here. Custom rules override global rules. They take precedence over the global configuration. The difference between them is that custom rules match specific path and file extensions. They get processed in order and they are more granular than the global caching rules. With both global and custom rules, you can define the caching behavior because in these rules you set the time to live that is optimal for a specific endpoint or for a specific file path settings type. Now you can configure either to bypass the cache, which means not really to bypass the cache completely, but to ignore any origin provided cache directives headers. We set a global policy rule that overrides whatever is configured based on the origin provided cache directives headers. And the other one would be to overwrite. And that means we ignore origin provided cache directives completely. We use the provided cache durations instead. Now, if you don't set any time to live on any file, then Azure CDN will just set a default. And this default is also depending on the CDN type that you choose. But in general, it will be for, let's say, web delivery optimization, 7 days, large files, 1 day, and media streaming even for 1 year. But of course, you can override these with rules as well. The last part is that you can also act on the profile or the profile's edge nodes directly, in the sense that you can either purge edge nodes on specific content or you can preload. Instead of waiting for the first request to come in, you can go ahead and make sure that your edge nodes are actually reloaded with some content, and purging will remove them from the edge nodes and make sure that whenever the next request comes in, they will definitely get the latest version from the endpoint, from the origin. In this video, I will show you how to set up and use a CDN profile and endpoints within it. So first thing that you might find out when you try to do this in the Azure portal is that there is only CDN profile mentioned together with front door, which is a load balancer that we have, but it comes with CDN support. That's the reason why it's basically one product, but you can create a CDN on its own. But if you look for CDN, you will always find front door and CDN profiles. That's the right way to do it. So select front door and CDN profiles. I have already one created, but I will show you how I got there, how I picked just CDN profile for this one. So I click create, and you have multiple options. Front door, which would come with CDN, but also as a global load balancer. You need to check the explore other offerings. And with this, you get the choices to create just a CDN if you want to do exactly what I'm doing right now, what I'm going to show you. So here I can select Azure CDN with Microsoft, or CDN Premium or Standard from Azure. So I selected Microsoft Standard, and all you need to do from this point on is you go and create a new profile, which is just metadata. It's not a resource that you're going to deploy. And I just give this a certain name in here. So it has this region, air quotes, global, which is not really somewhere where I store it, but it will store there where we have the resource group. We'll store the metadata for this. So that is basically all I can do at this point. I won't show you here in this point how to create a CDN point. I will do this in the existing one. And that's it, right? So that is how you set up a new CDN profile. Now, let's go back to the one that I already have. What I have done in here is, that was not the intention. Let's go back. So what did I do in here? So this is a CDN profile that currently has already configured 2 different endpoints. One is to get some video files out of a storage account that I will show you in a moment. The other one is using an origin type of web app. It's an app service web app. That is an application service that I have right now running, which of course has files too. And if we want to get these files closer to the customers, we can use that as well as an origin type. I need to create a second endpoint, or a third one in that sense. And this is what I'm going to show you how I do this. Before I go there, let me quickly go back here and explain the storage account. This is the storage account that I'm going to use, and the storage account has 2 different containers. One we already have created, where we just have a MP4 file, a video file in it. The pretty big one, so this is definitely necessary, or this is definitely a good way of thinking to use a CDN for this to get that bandwidth down and latency. Down for the customers. So for this one, I already have an endpoint. That's one thing. I need to set up for the media endpoint, for the media container, the endpoint, and this has just a couple of JPEG files in it. So I need to know that this is the container, and I will show you how to do this. So in my CDN profile, I will select add endpoint. Then I give this a name. So let's say we want to call this CDN Media MKE. It gets that name also added with the Azure Edge.net domain, so it needs to be globally unique. Then I pick this origin type. Could be a web app, could be anything else that you host elsewhere or on Azure, or a static website, cloud service. And what I'm going to use right now is storage, meaning we're looking for a storage account that has files in it. That is the name of this storage account that I just picked or just showed you. And the origin path is not just in general any specific, no, it is a specific container, right? So I will use this media folder in here the container that I just showed you. And the rest is, I will leave this as a default. Right now, there are not really more options than general web delivery, which is also, has an effect on the caching rules and so on. So I will go and add this. Basically, that will add a third endpoint that will look similar to this one. The one goes to the, let me show you this. So once you have created that, you see where how it's configured, which protocols is used, what's the optimization type, and then you check the origin. The origin is always giving you the reference to where is this file coming from. So and if we look at this, we can see in here that it's configured in the same way. So it's pointing to that storage account that we have configured. It doesn't show the folder in here or the container where it is. That is where I find this under origin path, configure the origin. Here we see that is pointing to video, the other one to media. So now that I have 3 different endpoints, just go back one more. Now I have 3. And now I'll show you what I want to do. So in my app services, I have this landing page right now. This is an app service where when I browse this, it will show me a website. So let's have a look at this website. The website is a fake website. It's just showing us a picture in here, and it also shows us additional information, some pictures that I add in here, at least 2 of these. You can guess which one. Now, where are these pictures coming from? So we're running a container image here, and for this app service, we have set 2 different configuration values. It's called CDN media endpoint, and the other one CDN video endpoint. Now you can tell what maybe the intention is, but right now this is actually showing that this is pointing to the content in the storage account. Both of them are, right? And that is where these files are currently downloaded from. So if I check in here and I open up my tools, then you can tell that you see that this is coming from the blob. So and it should, right? So it should come from there. I have not involved my CDN profile yet. Now, obviously, of course, this is going to be changed right now. So I need to update this with the endpoint URL from the CDN, because right now I have an endpoint. I have an endpoint in a profile, but I haven't told the application to actually use this. So all I need to do, I will go to my CDN profile, the one that I just created, and I need let's say we start with video, so I just can remember what I did. Now I need to switch the origin host name with the endpoint host name, so the CDN video and so on. So I will copy this over to the video one. So I will just replace this. I don't need to use video in here because video is already embedded in this origin configuration. So when I go to this place, it already knows that it needs to reference directly the video container. And we do the same thing for the other endpoint that we just created, where we just copy this one in here, and from there we change the configuration too. So have updated this, and obviously this is just my application, or this application here is using these variables and understanding where do I get the data from. That's of course a super easy way of doing this. Gives me a chance and flexibility to change these to my liking. So I have updated this, need to save it, and then we can check the log stream here to see when our application is ready again. So this will take a few moments for the application to get ready again. Okay, so I think we're good. Now, to make sure that I'm not really storing anything or caching, so while I have the developer tools open, I will just make sure that I empty the cache and do a hard refresh, and we see what happens. Now, what of course we could see right now is that this is actually was loaded way faster. I mean, the files are not really that big, so you could not really tell by this one. But on the right hand side, we see that now it's coming directly from the CDN. So we loaded the picture conference here directly from the CDN media endpoint. Other than this, application is behaving exactly in the same way. And now this was not loaded from the data center itself, which is way farther away from me right now. It was loaded from an endpoint that is closer to where I live right now. And that was just speeding up things for me in the background without me even really noticing it. But it has just really cool way of streaming that data right now to me. And that is how easy you would use a CDN profile in Azure and make your application use this in a proper way. In this video, I have explained how the Azure CDN works and how it can improve the user experience, how you control caching behavior and purge content, and how to perform actions on Azure CDN by using code. You have explored the functionalities of Azure Content Delivery Network and learned how to control cache behavior using .NET. By leveraging Azure CDN, you can optimize content delivery and improve the performance of your applications globally. It's time to go global with Azure CDN. Thanks for watching. Keep on learning.